Where did it all go wrong for Nuno? As we all know, we have appointed a new manager, Antonio Conte, as of today, just after 12 o'clock today. The official announcement came off. Nuno was sacked yesterday, and a whirlwind 24 hours later, we have arguably one of the best managers in world football to us. I'm happy with that. I'm still in black, but it's got a little bit more tinge, you know what I'm saying? It's got a bit of white in there as well now. You know what I mean? We started to get off that old, morning, but in the house, we are joined by Mike-Hotspur Hustler, Sid Spurs. We've got Sean Hurl, we've got David J. Briscoe, we've got Deji Spurs, and we've got Marlon Bashman. It's almost a full package here, but before we start, like, subscribe, share, comment, Paxton Road TV. Thank you very much for supporting us. 1,000 subs plus. Keep supporting us, and we will aim to please. Gentlemen, have you all been smiling as much as I have today? Have you all been smiling as much as me? What's been going on? Talk to me. Sid, talk to me. I want Sid. Has he got any songs? Anyway, no, before you start your song, I've got a little song for you. It's based on the old cornetto. Antonio Conte. I don't give a toss.
No.
I don't give a toss.
What? You got it wrong. It should be just one Antonio Conte. Give it to me. Delicious Italian from Italy.
Hey! I've been getting so much grief. You know what I mean? People saying, you've only just signed him. He's going to go wrong. Well, I don't care. At the moment, we can safely say we've got one of the best managers in. But let's deal with the aftermath of Nuno. Obviously, that's where we're going to be dealing with today. Loads of comments coming through already. Right then, let's start this. First points to put up then. So, would time tell? So, what I mean by this, and I'll start with let's start with our guest in the house for David today. Do you think, given the fact that he was only 10 games into his Premiership, 7 games in total, do you think that Nuno was given enough time to prove he was worth it or wasn't worth it? What's your thoughts on the matter?
I think he was given plenty of time. Nothing that I see. Even, I mean, we kind of got our hopes built up by the Manchester City game, and I constantly hear people saying, "Oh, that's the best game we played," but I don't think we played well in that game. We defended well, but for 70 minutes or more, our backs were against the wall. And I can't think that there'd be any Spurs fans when they were watching that game sitting there thinking, "Oh, they're going to score in a minute. They're going to score in a minute," because it was just coming. But luckily for us, it didn't. So no, I think I've just seen the same style through all the 10 games so far, not including the cup games.
Yeah. As I said, I tend to agree with you. Those first 3 games that we played, we won them 1-0. The City game, I expected that sort of performance. To get that result against City first game of the season, that kind of set the trend, I think. But then, the fact that he was saying in his pre-start of his career at Spurs, Nuno was saying, "We're going to make you proud. We're going to do all this," and I don't know. It just didn't seem. It didn't seem like he actually believed it himself. And when I look back at that interview now and I see it, he just looked very sheepish. He was saying the right things. I think he was trying to do the right things. He was trying to, put himself into an uncomfortable position to kind of give us what I think he wanted for the fans, but more so not really for himself. Sid, do you think he was given enough time?
Do I think he was given enough time? Was it 16 games he was in charge? 17 games, right. I think 17 games was enough time. And the question is how long was everyone willing to give him? Because at some point it was not going to work. And we all knew from after the first defeat to Chelsea, okay, we played all right, but then we got battered by Arsenal, got battered by Palace, got battered 3-0 by Man United. Conference Nations League wasn't doing that well. And you just knew that in terms of tactics and that, substitutions, he just was completely inept. He didn't have a clue what he was doing. And you could have given him more time. But unfortunately, and I'll say this now, I'll say it again, and I'll say it next week and the week after, the players that he's got, there's Mourinho couldn't do anything with him. He couldn't do anything with him. Okay, his tactics didn't help, but players are good enough. The quality, assuming apart from a couple of them, the quality players, but if they're not willing to put in a performance for you, then there's nothing you can do. And the more time you give him, there was no solution. It was going to happen sooner or later. But I'm just miffed with the way it's all happened so quickly, and Conte's coming so quickly. And, you know, it's somebody we wanted in the summer. Okay, we've got the explanation now from Conte about the summer, but it's just Daniel Levy doing Daniel Levy's bits. And I think I put it on the group today, didn't I? Everyone's jumping up and down. We got Conte and that. But like I said to you, we've still got the same players. We've still got the same players. So, you know what? Let's see if them players are actually now going to pick up the tools and start playing. And then we can turn around and say, yeah, it was the players. Let's see now if Levy and Paratich were wrong or right to sack the manager. Was it his tactics and his quality that wasn't getting through to the players, or was it just the players down in the tools? Let's see now. Let's see. Conte's come in now, so let's see let's separate the men from the boys, or should I say the ones pulling the strings in the changing rooms. Let's see what happens now with them. But I think in the end, it's the right decision, because I was there on Saturday, and honest to God, it was. I've never been that angry in my life at a Tottenham game. I tell you that now. Yeah. And for my boy to tell me, Dad, let's go after Cavani scored, that says something, because they've never ever heard me say let's go at 60, 70 minutes, or they've never even seen me. I must have become the Incredible Hulk, mate. I'd lost it completely. And that's saying something, because me, little Sid, never loses it. I tell you that now.
I'm sure that's not quite true, Sid. I'm sure I've heard you effing and blinding elsewhere.
Especially with bad mouth in that Dele Alli.
Exactly. If we give Dele Alli any grief,
don't start me.
Does anybody think, given the time, that Nuno would have been able to turn it around? Who thinks that he could have turned it around? Anybody?
Not with them players.
No, because not of his tactics.
And tactics, yeah, a combination of both.
The man was playing.
Do you know what? I would have said he would have turned it around, but then when you're seeing certain stats, after a while, even I was starting to think, bloody hell, Nuno, I'm starting to defend you here, but then you're like 20th in various stats. And the one that stood out for me was the movement of players. The players weren't moving. How the hell are we 20th? And we're like 6th or 7th in the league, but we're still not moving. And I think the key thing is our players need to be fit and be able to move around the pitch. From they're not doing that, something's wrong. And that's when I started to think maybe Nuno isn't the one. But yeah, when I saw there was 6 stats that he kept putting up, and we were like 17th, 18th, 19th, or 20th, I was like, what the hell? So that's when I started to think maybe it's not working. Even me, Mr. Optimistic, it's not working. So. And
the fact that we can't score goals, we're not scoring goals, yet the man's putting 5 defenders on the bench. We can't defend.
I think in his defence, though, I think the bench was quite balanced. I mean, when you look at it, there was 4 defensive players and there was 4 attackers, and you could even class the fullbacks as you like they are defenders, but then you could say, well, they're wing backs essentially, so they could be deemed as attackers as well. I don't think that was the issue. I just think his tactics were wrong. I mean, the players that he had at his disposal. Playing us 4-3-3 against teams that were setting up with like 5 men in midfield. I know there's variations of 4-3-3. You can use it as attacking or defending, etc., etc. But we were just getting opened apart, and that 3 in midfield was never working. So he should have learned after his first game at Crystal Palace. He should have learned, right, 4-3-3. The team's just been opened up way too easy. I'll pack the midfield out. But he never did that. He just stuck with the 4-3-3. So we go against Chelsea. We get spanked. Same formation, same tactics. He goes against Arsenal, who blatantly just outnumbered us in midfield. We go there, get spanked. We go to Manchester come to us. Okay, yeah, he's changed the formation around, but we just look clueless. So, and I've said this before, how long do you give a manager? I mean, the fact we lost by 3 goals in 4 Premier League games. The 2 is, I mean, in the fact that we played 10 games, 2 losing twice, 3-0 or 3-1. That's too much for a club who has aspirations of reaching top 4. So I can only say, if he played the formation and he stuck to the sort of philosophy that he used against Wolves, it might have given him a fighting chance, because at least he knows how to coach that formation and he knows how to sort of, I suppose, get the team playing to that sort of way of football. But he was trying something that it just wasn't him. It wasn't his philosophy, and it's just the start of the downfall, isn't it?
My worry was, the longer we left it, right now dare I say it, we're still in touching distance of top 4.
5 points.
And I know we're not. We realistically, we've not got the squad to make top 4, but we're still up there and thereabouts. Europa League, I think, would be a good step forward for us again if we can get there.
Do you know what, David? Just on that top 4 thing. Just on that top 4 thing. Would you say our squad is as good as someone like West Ham's squad?
Better.
On paper. I'm only going by paper. Obviously, when you
not when you've. I suppose if Dele Alli was still playing as well as we know he can, and how he should, and Harry Winks, if he was back, under the early days of Poch, and he was playing so well, then I would agree. But
what would West Ham? What would West Ham have that we haven't got in their squad? Because I just want to open it up, because the reason I'm saying that is I personally believe that, given what Conte said in his remarks today about he was almost convinced by Daniel, but it didn't appear to be the right time for him. He was too emotionally connected to was it Juve at the time? Blah blah blah. I think that maybe Nuno caught wind of that. Maybe he was a bit of a stopgap. Maybe very cynically, he was only going to be in a job until Conte was available.
Why risk your reputation and take that job?
Exactly.
Because I think it was amazing. Yeah, I was going to say it's a massive gamble. It appeared, I don't know what the circumstances are with Wolves, whether they wanted him out, whether he left by his own agreement, what it was. But there was something not quite right in the way he left Wolves. He tried to implement another style of football. It didn't appear to be working for them. Yep.
But that was based on injuries, though, wasn't it? He had to change the way Wolves were playing because they were just caned with injuries. So I think he changed it to make that team more difficult to beat. And that's my take on that.
And that's my point. I think he was the other way around, because I think he was more defensive in certain areas, and then he had a lot more attacking players. You look at the likes of didnt that came in. He had quite a lot of attacking players in that squad, and he had to then try to implement a more attacking style of football, which I don't think is his forte. I think it was the other way around. I think he went from a defensive-minded coach to trying to be more attack-minded, but he just didn't have... I don't know if he had the skill set to do it because of the way he's been playing before. And also because of the fact that what Conte's now said, we looked at the list. He was somewhere like 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th down the list. And he's been brought into the Tottenham job. How much was he being paid a year? Something like 4 million. I can't remember exactly what it was. But not a massive high salary. And I don't know whether or not Daniel Levy and Paxton just said, listen, we'll get this guy in as a bit of a stopgap. He might not do it. If he does do well, so be it. We can keep him. If he doesn't, we can get Conte. And that's my cynical view. Deji, what's your thoughts on the time scale? Do you think he was good? Do you think there might have been a bit of a plan of action from the hierarchy in this?
No, I think we got to be sensible all. I think, let's be real. Nuno wasn't given enough time, but at the same time, it was time to go. And that's just the bottom line in relation to Nuno. Nuno was given the opportunity to manage a big club, and I dare I say it was just too big a leap from Wolves to Tottenham Hotspur. So, Nuno, now that he's gone, I'm happy to sit down with him, have a sandwich, that sort of thing, have a coffee and talk to him. But definitely, it was far too big for him, the job at Spurs. I think, just picking up on the point that you were saying, I think Daniel Levy took a gamble. And actually, I'm slightly petrified about our kind of financial situation. I mean, the murmurings at the moment is that Conte's on 20 mil a year. If that's true, then that means he's the highest paid manager in the Premier League. Now, my question is this. If he can pay it now, why didn't he pay it 4 months ago? And I just hope that Levy is not putting us in a financial situation where we go back and we bite ourselves in the arse, because I'm seeing this as a desperate move by Levy to try and save face. He's made 2 wrong errors. And I just think, let's just be real. And I know we're going to talk about this in the conversation. Look, Conte is world class. He's a great manager. But a part of me, and it's part of the reason why I'm still wearing black, thinks this is more of the same. What's so different between Mourinho and Conte? Really?
What I will say is, I'll let Sean. Well, Sean, because you haven't said. Sorry, Sean. I'll let you answer that. Go on.
Well, I think the difference between Mourinho and Conte is that Conte actually understands the players. I think that's what the sense I'm getting from everything we've been bombarded with today. That he can actually talk to the players in a language that they understand. Whereas Mourinho, he just doesn't get the young players, and I think that's been shown. I mean, the wheels are starting to come off in my Italian team, Roma, with Mourinho already. He's only been in there the same amount of time,
Yeah,
so
I saw that.
I think that's the difference between the two. I'm less worried about Conte than I ever was about Mourinho. I think there's an element where Conte knows how to speak. And what I'm really looking forward to, and this is probably be music to Sid's ears, is that he's got a reputation of taking players that have fallen from favour, who are journeyman players almost, and really polishing them up. I mean, look at the sort of work he did with Ashley Young. Look at the work he did with
Victor Moses.
I think he demands a lot, but he seems to have a way of taking players, and I'm thinking particularly of our number 20 here, and rejuvenating them. And I'm hoping that's one of the benefits of this coming on that he comes into.
Mm-hmm. But did Mourinho rejuvenate Kelly? And then it's the same story. That's that's the thing that I worry about. Conte will get a tune out of them, no doubt. But it's going to be those same lazy ass players when they get fed up again. If they're not gone by January, come the other side of Christmas, February, March time, they'll be kicking the ball back. It's like the Chapel brothers, to you, to me, to you, to me.
Yeah. No, but the difference is that we'll have results by then. Results and performances.
Hopefully,
I think we're going to, and nothing makes a player happier than picking up their win bonus, especially at Tottenham, because that's how our wages are structured. It's win bonuses.
Yeah, but you could argue, why didn't it happen under Mourinho when we were top for 10 days over the Christmas period? And
I think Mourinho.
It just went.
I was just going to say about Mourinho. I think Mourinho had a way of alienating players, but definitely. I don't think Conte alienates players. I think Conte just talks the truth. If you've seen the interview that Romelu Lukaku gave when he talked about how Conte just literally came in and just spat at him and said, "Listen, you was shocking today." You to the point where he was just like, embarrassed by what he was saying to him. But the very next game. And this is Romelu Lukaku saying that. He said he played one of his best games because he knew that this manager wasn't standing for it. The difference with Jose had a way of like trying to get things up, but then he'll almost, I'd have my favourites. You're my favourite. You're my favourite. I'll keep you together in a little pack. Conte doesn't do that. If you're not playing well, it doesn't care who you is, he'll dig you out and he won't make any bones about it. So everybody knows where they stand. It's not like any player is not quite sure. With Mourinho, some players weren't sure where they stood.
And the other thing, Sam, he doesn't put them on the naughty step.
Exactly.
He might dig them out, but he doesn't put them on the naughty step. And then, they're allowed to, suck their petted bottom lips, And I think
what's in
Conte will make a major difference.
I think what's in his favour is he's achieved so much as a player. Why would you not listen to him?
Yeah.
I think that's what he's got.
And he wasn't a very good player. He wasn't. He was a journeyman player.
He was all right. Yeah, well, I thought he was all right as a player.
He scrapped his way. If you ask anyone who studies the Italian game, if you ask anyone who studies the Italian game, they'll say he wasn't the greatest of players, but he worked and he learned, and and that's why that's why he is like he is. That's what he is with every player. You fucking work for me, and you'll be all right. But if you don't fucking work for me, you won't be all right, and I'll let you know. And I'll maybe even
I think
let you know
the thing what you said. I think it's what you said, because he didn't have much ability and he still achieved so much. He expects everyone to work at that level. So yeah, I agree with you.
Deji, what did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'm not wanting to, be the bearer of bad news on this call, and I guess I'm trying to pick up on Sean's point. I'm at the moment, if our players are that bad, then what really can Conte do? I'm looking at the stats. Harry Kane this time last season scored 7 goals. He's got 1 this season. Is Conte really going to turn this around? Is he going to get Dele Alli purring? Is Tanguy done?
No, forget Ali.
Yeah, Ali's done.
You know what I mean? Like,
forget Ali.
Listen,
and I'm thinking.
I want to say something about Harry Kane though. Yeah. Is like if you put yourself in his shoes, we all know how Daniel Levy lies. So after the international games, when he got him to sign that
contract.
The extended contract. Yeah. He probably gave him all the spiel. Oh yeah, we're a club with ambitions. We're going places. Blah blah blah. Get him to sign it, just so that he can hike his price up. Then he sacks. He's sitting there. He's saying, "Sees Dembele go, and we don't replace him. No ambition there." Then he sees Poch get sacked. Heart goes down. Sees Mourinho come. Okay, bit of ambition. Then Eriksen goes. We don't replace him. His heart sinks. And then, what was it, 7 days, 8 days, whatever, before the cup final, we see Mourinho go. Now, I don't care who it is. If you're being told that lie over and over again, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and each time you're having a block taken from under your feet, you're going to get lower and lower, and it's so hard to pick yourself up. And then to see Nuno as the replacement, I could just see someone going, fucking hell, why? Because even under Mourinho, when he scored, and we conceded, you could see that slump. It was almost like, fucking hell, why do I bother? Why do I fucking bother?
But David, what I'd like to that is,
it's been coming for a long time.
Don't you think that the signing of, just touching on Mourinho, don't you think the signing of Mourinho was actually that mark to say, this is the ambition that we're trying to achieve? True. I just think it was the wrong fit. I don't think Nuno. I don't think Jose was the right fit, but I think it was the right type of appointment to try and get the players that were there.
He said to Kane he was going to make him pop, didn't he? And he did. He was the highest goal scorer, highest assist.
100%. So there was obviously something. There was something right in the way that Jose got it. But the problem with Jose is that's what he did. He'd make Son and Kane better to the detriment of someone like, let's use for example Tanguy, or I don't know, Dele Alli. You can throw in there. He had that way of alienating too many players. I don't think Conte is going to do that. I don't think Nuno was able to even get the chemistry between the squad enough to be able to get these players to want to play for him, because he doesn't have that gravitas. He doesn't have anything on his CV to say, you know what? Well, I won the championship with Wolves. I got 7th with Wolves and I was in the quarterfinal of the Euro. That ain't going to cut it with someone like Harry Kane. So I don't see how he was ever going to be motivated, given the fact he wanted to leave. He's not going to be there. Now, Conte's in. If he doesn't show respect to Conte, he won't play. That's 100% given. Conte will not play.
Apparently, he's happy about it. He's really happy about this.
I think he's happy about everyone else.
He should be happy.
I think if Mourinho wasn't sacked, he wouldn't have been wanting to go. I think the point is that Mourinho has sacked that ambition, that manager that he said he really enjoyed playing under because of getting him to where he was suddenly take just before his only chance of silverware as well. I think for me that was a straw that broke the camel's back for Kane. That point was like,
apparently he wanted to leave the summer before, though. From what I heard, I think I listened to Alistair Gold, and he said that Kane wanted to leave from the summer before.
Well, I mean, there you go. If he wanted to leave the summer before, he was still banging in goals. So it tells you something's gone wrong between now and because when you think about it, if you think about it, he's banging in goals like that, and then suddenly he's gone flat. There's a big issue there with downing tools, and I don't think he's down to again. I honestly don't think it's just down.
No,
tools.
no, I don't think it is. No, I don't think that.
At the end of the day, it wasn't Daniel Levy stopping him, because no doubt if City had come in and said here's 150 million, he would have been tough. So it's not the fact that he's taking it out on the club, in my opinion, because it wasn't Daniel that stopped him from going. It's the fact that it never materialised, and then we bring in Nuno, and then it's like, oh.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to. So Mike, I want to start with you on this next point. So this is where I think, and all those points you've said, David, and all the others has said as well, which has probably led to this. What I put in is spinning plates. Was there too much to do for Nuno, given the fact that A, Harry Kane wanted to leave, B, you've got players who were clearly not good enough, C, some players wanting to leave, some players thinking they're better than they actually are. You've got people like Tanguy and Ndombele, great talent, but can't get the best out of him. Was there too much for him actually to do at the club? And it was, he just too much, and he couldn't cope, not had enough experience to do that. What's your thoughts?
No, I don't think. I'm just going to put the battery in my laptop because it is just going to die. Bear with me 2 seconds.
Okay.
Sorry. Going back to the question, I'm just plugging myself in.
We're waiting here. It's all anticipation here. Is he going to remain on? Is he going to stay on?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm here. Sorry,
I'll take over.
Sorry about that. I don't think there was too much for him to do. I mean, the issues they had at the Spurs, you get them at every club that you go to. It's just not as publicly it's not as publicly made aware. Everyone's not as aware because it's Tottenham Hotspur. If you had those issues at Wolves, you wouldn't get the same sort of press coverage. You wouldn't get that media attention. But this is where it goes back to that point of Nuno not being ready to manage a club where you would, or a bigger club where you would get these sort of issues from. Like you got world-class players. You can have world-class players that at times are either not going to be performing for one reason or other, or they've been tapped up by another club, because that's essentially what happened with Kane. Pep tried tapping him up, which he never got penalised for, but that's by the by. But so I think it's more a case that Nuno was just out of his depth. He didn't know how to manage Kane's issue. He didn't know how to manage how to think, right, how can I get the best out of Ndombele? I think it was just a culmination of A, his inexperience, B, I don't think he knew what problems to tackle first. I mean, if Kane, for example, he left Kane out the first game of the season, well, just leave. He should have just left Kane out. If Kane had an issue and he wasn't wanting to be at the club, he should have had the balls just to say, right, Kane, until you've got your head screwed on, if that was the issue, then you're not coming back into the team until I feel you're ready. But he didn't. I think he panicked after was it Wolves game? He came back, wasn't it? After the Wolves, he came back into the team. And to be fair, I don't think he even looked fit enough to play in the. I think was it Europa, his first game in Europa, where I'm sure it's the first game he came back was Europa. He didn't look fit then, and I think Nuno's panicked and thought, oh, I've got a world-class striker and sort of just sat on the bench or just sat out. I need to bring him in because I need goals. And I just think everything got. Me personally, I think everything got too much for him, and it was just there's too many issues that he just didn't have the experience or the know-how to tackle. If he had, like Conte's going to have had some of these issues at Inter Milan, at Chelsea. This is going to be second nature. If he thinks, Kane's not going to be sort of singing on the same hymn sheet as the rest of the players, he'll deal with Kane. If he thinks Dyer's not good enough and he's leaking goals, he'll deal with Dyer in the way that we'd all expect him to be dealt with. And if there's, I don't know, if the media are asking sort of difficult questions, he'll have the experience to know what to say to the media and be like, he'll know how to handle them, and he'll know what to say, when to say it. So this is what I think. I think it was just a case that it wasn't too many plates spinning. I just think it was he didn't know how to juggle those plates and sort of manage the club and the team and the media and everything else around it.
So Sid, do you think it was his inexperience that was ultimately his downfall?
I won't say inexperience. I'd say managing a club that's potentially classed as one of the top 4, top 5, going from Wolves and what you said before, winning the Championship and then quarterfinals of the Europa, you're going from like one dimension to a club like Tottenham with the history, the types of players and managers that have been at Spurs, and blend that in with the Kane situation, all the other players, the bits that were left out from when Pochettino went, then Mourinho went, we're still left with the same players. Unfortunately, Levy didn't help him by not giving him players. I mean, we've all said this, even after Poch, half that team should have gone dismantled, sold, and new players should have been bought in. So I think he's experienced enough as a manager, right? Because you can't be inexperienced if you've been managing in the Premiership. If you've won the Championship, which is probably the most difficult division to get out of, and he actually won it, and then he's gone into the Prem, and he's had a few seasons with Wolves, and he's done really well with what they had. I think that was his level. Then to move to Spurs, I think the expectations are high. The fans' expectations are high. Daniel Levy's going to run you on a budget, which you probably was expecting more. So I wouldn't say he's inexperienced. I think it's just wrong place at the wrong time. And with all the shit that was going on, he was just brought in to steady the ship. Like we all said, maybe it was just a 2-season one of them. Let's just put it in there. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, we tried it and we'll wait for the man to come, which was Conte.
Yeah.
So
he was brought in because nobody else wanted the job.
Exactly, and that as well, yeah. Because obviously we had was he number 7? So
you know what the trickiest thing is though? If man, you might have taken him. So that's why I think we might have jumped in quickly to get him.
Could be that as well. Yeah. Could be that.
Sure. Do you think? I was going to say,
there's some very nuanced answers going here.
No, I was going to ask you: was there a lack of support for Nuno from both the players and the board?
I think there was probably a lack of support both at the board level and in the playing staff. Yeah, because it's clear that everyone is now coming out and saying that Kane just had no time for him. X had no time for them. The players didn't have any time for him. And I wonder whether, we've appointed Conte. That hasn't just happened overnight. I think, from what I'm understanding, the board were absolutely gutted at the Arsenal result, like we all were. And I think the contact was re-established with Conte after that game. And I think they've been talking to him. And I think Conte was exhausted after last year at Inter, and he probably wasn't ready to take the job in the summer, as he said. I think we've shown a bit of foresight, which helps when you have a football man like Paxton in the boardroom. But I think there was definitely he's definitely a stopgap manager. I do feel he was snookered behind the 8 ball with all the issues. I think I tend to disagree with what the other guys are saying. I think he didn't. He had to deal with an issue with Kane. He got appointed 5 days before pre-season started. That's not a good preparation. It's he had the internationals. The first international break left him, picking that ridiculous team against Crystal Palace because of the Croatia 3. There were a number of things, and I think, much as I'm glad he's gone and he had to go and his time had gone, we'd seen what he was doing. I think he was given a bad deal. But he's £14 million, him and his team, richer. £14 million richer now, and I'm sure Deji will be able to help him spend that and invest that.
Well, I was going to come to Deji for financial advice there, but I was going to say to Deji, what could Nuno do to maybe help himself a little bit more? Because I agree with what you're saying, Sean. I think he had a lot to deal with. I think with that international break where we lost Romero, we lost the Celso, and who was the third player that we lost? Sanchez as well.
Sam.
Hold on, one second. If you're an inexperienced man who's not used to dealing with that sort of thing, because he's not really used to dealing with that sort of thing, that's not anybody can't just deal with 3 of your best, say your better players, 3 defenders in essence, just not being around the club. Given the fact as well that Harry Kane literally looked like he just didn't want to play. Your best player in the club, who's meant to be the England captain, You wouldn't expect that of him. So Nuno's probably thinking, hold on a minute. The England captain, I don't expect him to down tools. I think he was given a bit of a rough. What I'm saying is I don't know if he helped himself by some of the things that he did. Did he have a chance to solve enough problems? I don't think he was given enough time to solve the problems that he had. But would he have solved them anyway? I don't actually know. So that's what I was going to ask Deji. Do you think he did enough to help himself in the matter?
Yeah, so first and foremost, my advice to Nuno and his team with the money that they have is let's invest in Bitcoin. I understand that Bitcoin is going to reach 130 grand. Not financial advice, but we might see a 130,000 pound Bitcoin by the end of Christmas. Yeah, now moving on to more serious matters. Look, I think Nuno was like you've all said, he was in an unfortunate situation. He didn't have the gravitas. You could see on Nuno's face that he didn't have the confidence to leave Kane on the bench. And what you need is somebody to say, look, Kane, you're not playing well. Dyer, you're not playing well. Lloris, you're not playing well. And be able to stick by that decision. But Nuno knew as soon as Kane doesn't play and Spurs lose, he is dead man walking, or he's going to be in season 8 of The Walking Dead. So he had no choice. He had to be the people's coach. He had to play the team that was selected in the newspaper. So you can see that Nuno, and then he had a series of unfortunate events. Kane, the Croatia incident, the internationals in Brazil. And to be honest, you can just see it was just too much pressure for him. And all he had to do was sit down and play calm. Now, for me, I would have been a lot more kinder towards Nuno had he gone with the strongest 11 on the weekend. However, any coach that starts Ben Davis and Lo Celso against messages...
They need to get sacked immediately. That's immediate sacking, isn't it?
They deserve the chop. And then to make matters worse, he brought on Dele Alli. That's when I knew this guy had royally gone bonkers. So for me, you can see that Nuno was confused. Yes, it was difficult for him. The only managers that could have handled the situation that Nuno found himself in is only a handful. I think Klopp, Pep, maybe Mourinho to a certain extent, dare I say. I think maybe he would have come out of this a little bit better than the way Nuno handled it, and then a couple of other managers. So yeah, I think it was unfortunate for Nuno. Harry Kane is telling Nuno, I'm going to play regardless of whether I'm fit or not. And once you've got a manager who's literally begging players to play, then you know you've got a problem. So he had to go, and we're grateful for his time. I think the key now over the next few months for us is to see whether Conte is really that man or whether our squad is really that poor. Because he's going to have to spin the same plates. We've got internationals coming up. The same sort of things are going to be coming up around the corner. And it'll be interesting to see what Conte does. I said on our last call that the thing I was looking for...
You've got to mute. Deji, you're mute. You're mute. Mike.
Hello, can you hear me? Sorry, guys.
Yes, we can.
Sorry, I was just saying that in our last call, I was saying that what we need is a coach, not a manager. And I'm just not sure with whether Conte is a coach or a manager. And I welcome the Avengers on this call to kind of put my mind at rest. But I can't help but think, and it's not financial advice, that we are walking into the same old. I'm not convinced.
Okay, so
that Conte
let me ask
you what you think is.
Let me ask David. If given the problems that we looked at and seen, because Nuno did have, let's not get it, he did have problems. But as Mike was saying, you'd expect him to have dealt with certain problems at Wolves anyway. I think the fact that he's more magnified and more polarized at Spurs means it's going to be harder. And I always said, and we'll get to it in a minute, I always believe that his personality, his charisma, his character wasn't fit for Spurs because he just looked like a man who was going to crumble. Do you think, given the same issues, that Conte would be able to deal with them in a different way? And what would he do that would be different to someone like Nuno?
I think leadership comes from the top down. And he is ultimately, you have your captain on the pitch, but he's ultimately the general. And if he's just going to stand on the pitch like this, when we're 1-0 down and not make any changes, what confidence does that instill in the players? So, yeah, I think Conte's more animated. Typical, I can't remember what game it was. It might have been the Wolves game when one of the players got injured. And the manager's called his players over and he's giving them instructions. Where was Nuno? Players were standing there drinking bottles. Nuno's standing there going, yeah. And you need someone to be saying, look, you keep dropping out of position, get back in position, stay there where you know, point out these errors from these players. And I think Conte will do that. As I say, he'll get a tune out of them, but it's whether these same lazy-ass players give up halfway through the season again.
It's interesting. Anybody else got any thoughts on that?
I think he'll be more ruthless. I don't think he'll start. If these players aren't, if there's some of these players aren't pulling their weight, or if there's players that he doesn't feel are good enough to take Tottenham, wherever it is that Levy, him, and Paratigi have sort of come to that decision of, right, this is our ambition for this season. We want you to set the team and try and match that, or match the board's ambition as such. And I think Conte's probably he's in that fortunate position where he's not going to get sacked this season. How bad it gets, he won't get sacked. And I think he'll be cutthroat. If these players aren't good enough, I think you'll see some of them out the door in January. I think we're bound to see players coming in because you've already heard it off the grapevine. There's talks going on with certain players, etc. So I honestly think I don't think Conte's going to. And the thing with Conte, he can change things. It seems like he can change things around quite quickly, which. With Nuno, we never. He just didn't have that in his locker. When things were going bad, he didn't know how to change it. He didn't know how to sort of get a tune out of these players if some of them were not sort of like Kane. I'd go back to Kane and certain other players, etc. He just didn't have it in his locker to make big decisions for the better of the team. And I think Conte. I think he'll live by the sword,
though, isn't it? That's all down. Because you know when we lost the cup final, we're saying, it's because he played Kane. But if he didn't play Kane and we'd lost Pochettino, they would have been saying, why'd you leave the best striker on the bench when he's fit? He's come back from injury, he's obviously fit. And I think that would have been the same with Nuno if he had not played Kane during the Arsenal game because Kane weren't performing and we'd lost it. He should have been fucking playing Kane. Why did he drop Kane?
So I want a manager comes in that says, whoever says that, I make the decision and I'm going to live and die by that decision. And if he then comes out and says, this is the reason why I've done that, I don't care about anybody's, reputation. That's what I want a manager to say. If Harry Kane's not fit enough to start, just because he's Harry Kane, don't start him. But I want my manager to come and say, he's not starting just because he's Harry Kane, I don't give a toss. He's not fit. I want my team to win. This is what I think Conte is different than someone like Nuno. Because if I was advising Nuno now, I would say to Nuno, do what you need to do for yourself first that you think is going to make the team better. Don't do what the fans think. Because remember, we were playing a 4-3-3 and we was all up in arms. He needs to play different. He needs to play 4-2-3-1. What happens? He plays a 4-2-3-1. You know what I mean? So he was doing things, I think, off the cuff. He was doing things that he didn't feel comfortable doing. And ultimately...
It's a contradiction though, isn't it?
Yeah, but...
Because at the end of the day, rather than come out and say, we weren't very good and we deserve to lose, he was coming out saying, I thought we played really well.
Oh, that was bollocks. Some of that stuff he was saying was absolute bullshit.
He's kind of been devil's advocate when he should have been honest.
Yeah.
I agree. With that
I think what's happened this morning or late last night, some of them players have actually gone to one of the supermarkets and they've all bought a 72-pack of Weetabix. Now, depending on how many they have, if they have 2 a day, they've got 36 days to prove to Conte they're good enough. If they have one, that's 72 days, right? That takes us into January window, and they're gone. So it depends on how they're going to eat their Weetabix.
I agree. He's going to get rid of. He's going to be cutthroat. That's one thing we can guarantee with Conte. He will be cutthroat.
To be honest,
right.
It depends on Levy's pricing of those players, doesn't it? If people don't want to come in and pay whatever for Harry Winks, he's not going to go anywhere.
That's the point that I think that Conte is going to have different, because he'll walk. I think he's a manager who will say, "We didn't do what I said. I'm walking." And the fact, remember, we had Sergio situation. 1 year left on his contract. They released him. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's things like that which I can see happening. If someone like Winks has got 6 months to go, rather than say I want 5-10 million for him, listen, just let him go.
We throw him in a buy one get one free.
Definitely something like that. Right, the last part of this. Right, let's do this last part. Right, because we're trying to still stick with. Stick to what you know. Do you think? And I'm going to start off with who hasn't started off. I'll start with Sean on this one. Do you think Nuno was did he fail because he didn't do what he knew best? And we kind of touched on it earlier. He played his best football at Wolves in this 3-5-2 system. He then tried to transition at Wolves in the last season to more of a 4-3-3, more of an attacking style, which didn't suit the players. Well, I think it suited the players, but didn't suit his way of playing. He then came to Spurs, gave all the spiel about, I'm going to make you proud, I'm going to do this, which meant to us, he's going to be more attacking. And he tried it, but then you could see in some of the games, even though we had the formation change, the way of playing was just not good. Maybe he should have reverted back. Do you think that, again, sticking to what you know may have given him a little bit more time with the fans to actually see, could this actually work?
I think this kind of harks back to something I should have said in the last section, Sam, was that he was also undermined by the narrative that was sold. Remember that we were all told that Paratixi had persuaded Levy that he could play the way he did at Valencia, which was only a season, and then I think he got sacked midway through the next season. He had totally different players at Valencia, so I think he was undermined from above. But he should have gone to his favoured three at the back. I mean, we've got the squad to play three at the back. I mean, that's clear. And I tell you what, Conte won't stray much from. He won't be playing four at the back if he thinks I can play Romero in the middle, I can play Dyer and Rodon or whatever combination he wants, Sanchez and whoever. He'll play his three at the back, and then he'll either go 4-3 or he'll do 2. You know, this is the one thing. This is why I think he's a coach. He doesn't, although he has his back three, he changes his forward formations, and I think that's why I think there are some of these players who we are now, wishing sent away. He may resurrect them. I don't know. I think he's also been promised new players. So I think
there's some players Sean, that they're dead. They can't be revived. No matter what you do, defibrillators, you can have any sort of, heart massages. They're not coming back to life. So there's a couple of them that are just not coming back to life. No matter what you do, I don't care who you are, you can be superstar. I don't think so.
Well, I have faith in Conte to do that, and that's why I say he's a coach, not a manager.
What players though you think could come back to life?
Well, as I said, I think he could resurrect Deji.
I think he can as well.
Oh, come on, Sid, now. Come on, Sid.
Listen,
Deji needs to cut his hair.
Under Nuno, right? No, but I think Conte's got that mentality. Conte's got that. What we're saying is he'll probably take him to one side and he'll say to you, right, go and have you got your 72 Weetabix? Yeah, right, go and have 2 a day. You've got 36 days to prove me wrong. Otherwise, you're gone in January. And I think over this period now, since he's been not managing, I think he's probably known he was going to take the Spurs job. I personally think he's been sat there assessing all the players and certain players in particular, and I think Ali's one of them. He's watched how bad they have been, and deep down, I think he's going to give Deji a last chance saloon, and I think he's got until January window. I know Deji's shaking his head, but out of all of them, I think if there's one player that he might be able to resurrect, it's Deji.
How many managers give this guy a chance?
You know what I mean?
We haven't had a manager of the quality of Conte.
Conte, exactly.
No,
but you could argue that the quality was there with Mourinho, although he was a bit out of touch, and you could argue about his man management.
Mourinho, I've told you, Mourinho's not the same man.
I love Deji.
He's killed our team. Naughty step.
I agree.
He
has killed us. Yeah.
I think the team was already dead before Mourinho.
You know that sheesh restaurant in Chigwell where all the Spurs players go to eat a bit of turkey? Me and Deji, we can have a sheesh. over in Chigwell, mate.
Whoa,
Look,
Deji, I've got to be
Dele
there.
Alli is gone right now. Dele Alli is picking clothes for Boohoo. That's what he's doing, right? He's not good enough to get into Wigan. So let's stop that wishful thinking.
We'll see.
For me, what I would like to see, if Conte can do it, is get Tanguy. Tanguy's the guy. If he can get Tanguy playing, he's actually got something in his locker that can unlock something back for the Spurs faithful and get
the same applies to Tanguy, Deji.
Yeah.
What's that?
That's what he's saying.
Conte will do it well. And Dombele.
That's what he's saying.
That's what he's saying. Got a fashion line. Do you know what I mean? So he's still got potential to do something. But I see Dele on his Instagram. This guy is fully invested in Boohoo at the moment. And I can't see him getting out of that. Him
and PlayStation.
And he had them brown trousers on. Did you see the picture? Did you see the picture with he had them brown trousers on?
Who's dressing him?
What you got to remember though, yeah, is Boohoo. Remember, Boohoo got done, yeah, for let's not go into it, for underpricing, so they won't be able to afford Dele. Trust me, they can't afford Dele.
The best thing that can happen.
He's not good enough to play for Wigan.
With a bit of luck, Newcastle might come in for Winks and for Dele. Buy one, get two. You could see Newcastle come in and they'd probably suit Newcastle because they would be an upgrade to what Newcastle have got. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some players being shifted out in January because they're talking about wanting to bring players in, and the only way they can do that, there's going to be some money available apparently, but he's going to have to sell some players as well. So for the better of the club, the players like your Delis, your Davises, your Winks, they got to go. They're just not good enough. They're never going to.
Since had enough. He talked about Dele again. He said, "That's it. I'm done." He's done. He's just gone. Oh my God! Sorry, Sid, come back. What that mean? Oh, sorry. He said, "Was it about his trousers?" I know that he's got brown trousers on. I don't like brown trousers at the best of times, but them tan brown trousers on, I didn't like them at all. I didn't like them at all. Oh, he's back. Sorry.
Had Boohoo knock on the door.
No.
He's got his delivery.
He's got his Weeabix. Marlon, back to all seriousness. Marlon, what would you have done? What would you have done if you was Nuno? Would you have tried to, like, as I said, I think hindsight's obviously a wonderful thing. Would you have done what he should have done and played the system that he knows, or was he right to try and play a more attacking style of football at Spurs? What's your thoughts?
I think he had no choice because the club he's at. A lot of people don't give Spurs the respect they deserve. They're actually a big club. So when you're going there, it's like what Mike said, the scrutiny is on you so much. So you have to kind of play a system that will appease the fans because we are very vocal. And if you're not playing the football we want to see or the football we enjoy looking at, we're going to be vocal. And to be honest, Saturday was such an eye-opener. Even I was shocked. I was like, right, they've had enough already. Just the reactions of the sub, the reaction at halftime. I haven't heard that since we've been in our old stadium, maybe about 12 years ago, where fans have had so much of an uproar of him. Basically, he was never going to win. He was never going to win with Spurs, no matter what. And I think as well, because he's just got no emotions on the side. Even though I was willing to give him a chance, but if you watch him from the side, he just has no emotion, man. He's not like a Mourinho or even Conte. When you watched him in the past, they get involved. Even a like Poch or even a Pep, they're emotionally involved. Him now, he's just playing with his bed. Even though for a while I was like, all right, that's his style. Everyone's style is different. But then you're looking after a while thinking, bruv, you need to show some emotion and get involved. So yeah, he was never going to win. He should have went to what he knows best, but I don't think it would have worked. Conte is definitely going to go with three at the back. But if Nuno done that,
are you sure? Because you know what?
I think he will.
I'm not always convinced with that. I think with Conte, he'll play. I know he's played through it about loads of, but he's a tactical manager and he's also a winning manager. What I say by that is, if it's not working, he's not just going to stick to it because it don't work. He's going to try something else to make it work. And that's the problem with managers who don't do things. They don't take them risks because they feel that. And I think that's with Nuno. I don't think he was willing to take the risk because if it went wrong, he knew what was happening. And I don't think his personality and his character allowed him to make them mistakes without thinking, oh shit, they're going to be on my case. I know it went wrong for him at the last game of the season, but he was given opportunities. But the stats, the stats were not backing up the way he was playing. We can't be 20th in running stats. We can't be 18th, 20th in shots creation. We can't have no shots on goal in a game against Man United who are on their knees at home. No shots on target. That's unforgivable. So I don't think he helped himself in that sense. But maybe had he come out and said, right, I'm playing this system. This is what I know. I can get the best out of the players based around that. Maybe he should have tried that. I know it's hindsight, but Dave, what's your thoughts on that?
I agree. It's easy for us, isn't it? As you say, with hindsight,
100%.
to sit here and say things like that. But I just go back to you know what was just said about the and he looked clueless on the line. So I honestly don't think even if he'd have played what he knew and how he played at Wolves, I couldn't see it working because I just didn't see the players buying into him. Yeah. I mean the stats. I mean, we're bottom of the league in the stats, and we're in all the stats.
We were awful. Our attacking stats
we've got to be. I mean, I don't even think Norwich have gone games where they've not had shots at goal.
And the problem being the attacking stats were awful, but then the defensive stats were getting worse and worse and worse. We were conceding 3 goals a game at one point, which was not going to be sustainable. We scored only 9 goals, conceded 16 in 10 games in the Premier League. That's unsustainable. So that was always going to be right, unless he was going to change something, whether that was I'm going to go more defensive or I'm just going to go Kevin Keegan style and win 4-3. He didn't do any of them decisions. He was stuck in the middle of this. What do I do? And that's where I think he was always going to fall. Mike, what was you going to say?
I was going to say I would have got rid of him after the Arsenal game. That was the third game on the trot where we conceded 3 goals. If I was Levy, I would have got rid of him there because to me, that was probably the point where I had checked out with Nuno because he should have learned his lesson after. I go back to the Crystal Palace game. He should have learned his lesson against Crystal Palace, and he probably should have learned a lesson against Chelsea, but he didn't. He just kept. It's like he kept, for some silly reason, kept faith for that 4-3-3 system formation. It just wasn't working. The fact that how many games had we gone where we hadn't had shots in the second half? I'm surprised Levy and Paxton didn't get rid of him sooner. I personally probably would have done, especially against Arsenal. Third game on the trot, 3 goals conceded. We could have got rid of him there. Now, I personally would have done, but
London derbies.
He should have stuck to what he knew. He didn't know, like when we've seen it before. He's not a manager that is accustomed to playing 4 at the back or playing with a double pivot and one up top, etc. He should have gone with his tried and trusted formation. At least it would have given him half a fighting chance to be relatively successful, even if it was to the fact that it's kind of just providing some sort of stability to the team. We're not getting beaten heavily 3-0 week in, week out. Yeah, we might not win those games, but at least we would have put up more of a fight and had a chance of hitting the.
Probably would have got more draws out of it.
Possibly, and I think given that the I suppose the state of the team or the squad, more like we probably would, as Tottenham fans, we've probably been like, yeah, you know what, be realistic with what we've got. Yeah, a draw's not a bad result, but 3 games on the trot, wasn't it, where we conceded 3 goals and
that's unsustainable. It's just not happening.
Well, as I indicated earlier, Levy lost his rag after the Arsenal game. He hates losing to Arsenal. We accuse him of not being a Spurs fan, but he hates losing to them. And I think there's enmity at board level between those 2 clubs. You know, I don't think they get on with each other, and I think that was the point. And there we have to thank Paxton for re-establishing contact with Conte and starting the ball rolling. And I think that's, you know, I mean, it was clear he'd run out of time, but Nuno didn't, you know, he didn't have the gravitas. I remember in one of the early videos they had of him, they showed him going around the stadium. And he looked up at him and he looked like a 7-year-old boy, really, you know, kind of enthralled to this stadium, you know. And I just thought, bloody hell, he's our manager, you know. You know, I mean, obviously, if it was the first time he'd seen the stadium, yes, but he'd been there as an opposition manager. You know, he knows what the stadium was about. Yeah,
Spurs is, come on, it's such an exciting project. Even must have blown his mind a bit. This, even Conte is talking about anyone that comes there, you just know you've got a brand new stadium, full up with like 60-odd thousand fans. You've got a new training facility. Tottenham is a project that you can definitely get starting and just know that you could be starting your career and making such a name for yourself, because it's in a mess. You know, because it's so much in a mess. There's only one way you can go is up, or hopefully not down. But there's so much like.
Yeah, but I think as Sam said, he was overawed by it all.
It was too much.
Fair enough.
I just think it was. Enough. I just think that level to go from Wolves. No disrespect to Wolves, and we always have to use that phrase. But to go from Wolves, the type of manager he was at Wolves, I watched him in his press. I don't know if people say to me, "Oh, that shouldn't matter. He can say what he wants. He can do what he can be." No, you can't, because the level of what you have to give out is a reflection of you on the pitch. So if you're on a press conference, you're like, every answer you give is, "Oh well, it's not about the individuals. It's about we're trying to make this one." It's like, come on, mate, talk the truth. Tell me what you really think. Don't give me that spiel. Oh well, it's not the players.
Newspapers stopped going to his press conferences.
He was shocking.
Going to his press conferences because there was nothing coming out. It was a waste of their time.
I agree, and for me, that's one of the things I said early doors. I don't think he's going to be able to cope with the pressure because his personality is not strong enough. He's a nice guy. I said he's a
nice guy. Nice guys don't get anywhere in life sometimes, do they? Especially in football, anyway.
He'd be brilliant as just a coach. He'd be brilliant if he was just a coach in the background and didn't have to do any of that press stuff. And he was a coach. I think he'd be brilliant. But to be the number one person, to have all the responsibility and to have to try and make the team better, you can't be that character. I just don't think it. Listen, I'm going to go around each of you. I want you to give me final thoughts on Nuno, and then anything you're looking forward to from our new Antonio Conte. Marlon, start with you first.
Sorry, what was the question? Sorry, say that again. I apologize.
On Nuno and what you're looking forward to for Antonio Conte.
He's mesmerised by your singing, mate.
No, it was that he threw me. As I said, Nuno he's a nice guy. Maybe it was just the wrong time to come to Spurs because expectations, and we won a trophy, and his like defensive mindset ain't gonna work with Spurs. With Conte, I ain't gonna get too excited. I'm excited, but I'm not going to get too excited. I've seen too many fans just go a bit overboard, and I saw it with Mourinho. It's not guaranteed to be trophies and all like rosy. So I'm just gonna play it down, even though underneath I'm really excited. But let's just wait and see what happens. I'm not showing it, but I'm just waiting for us to. We need to win something. I'm just composing myself. I'm a composed fan, so I'm just gonna.
Don't want to get too excited. I know we've been here before. I know, and people are going to say that. Let's not get too excited. But hold on a minute. You have to imagine. There's all. I can't. Apart from us, say, Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea. They've got their managers in. There was no other. If he was available to any other team in the Prem, snap your hands off. I'm talking about Man United, 100%. Arsenal. All these teams would have taken it in a heartbeat. So I'm excited for that fact, and I want him to do well. If he doesn't, he's going to walk. He's the sort of person, his character tells me, I'm not getting what I want here. I'm off. I'm bouncing. And he doesn't care about the money. That's the sort of person, that's the sort of manager I want to see, because that's what I want, a reflection of. I want it my way. I need to have it my way. I'm demanding it my way. If you don't give me the tools, I'm bouncing. See you later.
What I found funny is a lot of Chelsea fans seem to be thinking we're taking their scraps, but I just have to run with it at the moment.
Tell them Chelsea fans to sit down.
Tell them to sit down. David, I'll come to you next then. Final thoughts on Nuno and what you're looking forward to from.
I'm in agreement with the others. The wrong appointment, wrong time for Nuno. And I don't even think it'd have been the right time, really. I think his biggest mistake was taking the job. But who can blame him when a club like Spurs comes knocking on his door? So
you can't blame him.
Fair play to him. As far as Conte is concerned, I'm much the same. Actually, I'm kind of excited but reserved, because I think leopards don't change their spots, and I just know Levy's going to always play that. Oh, we tried to sign him, but the talks broke down. At least he could then say to Conte, "Oh, well, I did promise you I was going to sign him, but I could, the wage demand was too high," or whatever excuses he uses. So, but the thing is, if he sees out his 18 months and then goes, Pochettino would be free. Or coming up to be free. So is that in Levy's mind? I don't know. So, you know, would it be good for Pochettino to come back? I'm not going to go there, but I definitely think under Conte we could probably. I'm looking at the conference, the Europa Conference League, and thinking if we can get that, then we qualify for Europa, which is, like I said earlier, we're not going. I don't think we're going to make Champions League, so Europa League's the best that we can get this season.
Do you think we should put our strongest team in that though?
On Thursday.
Marlon,
it's a must-win game. If we don't win on Thursday, we're out. So he has to win on Thursday. It's a must-win game.
Yeah.
Sean, come to you next then. Final thoughts on Nuno?
A nice guy with my trade union hat on. It's always sad to see someone lose a job, but I am fully on the Conte train, mate. He's going to be brilliant. We're going to have a great time. See us in 10 games and see where we are in the table. Yeah, the top 3 are locked in, but that 4th place isn't locked in. Why can't we go for it? Why can't we go for the cups this year? Yeah, come on, let's go for it.
I like
Antonio.
I like that. I like that hat as well. He's got that hat. That hat's a nice hat, man. I like that one, Sean, by the way. Deji, financial advice, please.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I want to thank Daniel Levy for being one of the subscribers on Paxton Road TV. Because every time we seem to make a call on the managers, he seems to follow through. So thank you, Daniel Levy, for following us, and make sure you like and subscribe. I think in terms of Nuno, it will be great to see him. I'll be down in Dalston tomorrow, so we can catch a coffee, in East London. For me, you can see I'm still wearing black. I don't know, for whatever reason, I'm just really, really tentative. I'm just hoping and praying that it's not more of the same and that Conte can surprise us and actually do a miracle and actually get these players playing. The one thing I can say that is exciting and which will get me really excited, I think if we get Kessie on a free from AC Milan, I think his partnership with Højbjerg could be the best in that double pivot.
Oh, Jesus.
He's even good.
But also, for the first players in world football, I think Chiesa is a baller.
Fantastic.
And I'm seeing in the papers today that we could
Chiesa ain't coming, Spurs. Don't be silly.
Chiesa, I think he's
Don't be silly.
On the wing, because he is a beast. If those
he is, but he ain't coming, Spurs.
Then
Come on.
Come on, man. Give us a break, man.
Come on.
You're normally the most upbeat one, and now you're giving us now he's not coming.
Yeah, but not realistic. Not in the position we're in now. We're not in Champions League. We need to be offering them a bit more than what we've got now. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
In January, we could be in a Champions League place.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see. If we get Champions League, then I would run with all these players that I mentioned, but not yet.
All right, then. We're gonna wait. Go on, you finished, Deji. Sorry,
Deji.
Yeah, no. I was just saying, if we get Chiesa and Kessie, then I think things are looking up for Spurs.
Okay. We've got our Sid. Are you doing our Sid tomorrow? Sid, is that on tomorrow?
Tomorrow's Thursday, isn't it? No, I think I'm
tomorrow's
going
to Wednesday.
Is it Wednesday tomorrow? No, I'll probably do it. I might do the final one this Friday.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know yet. I've not decided yet, but there will be one coming up. Don't worry.
No, the only reason I was saying that because I knew you might want to do a little bit more on Conte, but you might also want to defend Dele Alli as well. But forgetting that for now, your final thoughts with your Weetabix on Nuno and looking forward to our new manager.
First question is he should be asking them that. Okay. And then all I'd like to say to Nuno is we'll meet again. Don't know when, don't know where, but I'm sure we'll meet again at some point.
I'm not meeting him.
As long as it's not in the Tottenham scene.
No, I'm not seeing him. Sorry, he's gone.
And yeah, I'm like, I think a couple of you, Conte ball is in. Yes, excited. But what can he do different with what we've currently got at the moment? Time will tell. And I just hope, because obviously he's had this conversation with Daniel Levy and Paratich and all these transfers that we're supposed to be getting on in January. Hopefully, he's already told them this is what I want. Because at the end of the day, yeah, and I'm going to sign off on this, is we don't want in January for him to say, I'm walking away with troubles in my mind. I'm walking away to find another club.
This guy. He
just spits lyrics 24/7.
I'm telling you, he needs to have some form.
He needs to be teaming up with Marlon.
No, he needs to be teaming up with Sean. He needs to have the guitar. He needs Sean in that guitar. He needs a mic himself, and he needs to be doing something on stage. 100%. 100%. Mike, close out the show for us.
Nuno should have gone sooner. Should have gone out the Arsenal game. Like everyone said, he's a nice guy, but in football, nice guys, do you win anything with nice guys as your managers? I don't think you do, to be fair. So I know there's people out there who might think, oh yeah, he's come. It might be in the sort of wrong time, wrong job, wrong etc. I just don't think there'll be never a good time for Nuno to come back to Spurs. So I honestly don't think he will ever step foot in a top 4, top 6 club. Certainly in the Premier League, I think that's a given. Going forward with Conte, I think the first thing that he'll do is he'll make us difficult to beat. I honestly think he'll change that around and will set us up so we're not a walkover. I honestly think that we will become a difficult side to beat, and I think he'll change that around quite quickly, given his history and stuff of where he's at Inter, where he's at Chelsea. Everything was done quickly, and he had them up and running quite quick. So I'm hoping he could do the same, something similar to Spurs. At least make us start off with, at least make us difficult to beat. If he comes to January and he has some money to buy players, etc., bring in the players that he wants. Hopefully, Levy's got to back him as well. So I can't imagine Conte's coming to this job without some sort of promise that he's going to be backed. Otherwise, like you said, Sam, he's the type of manager that's just probably going to walk, isn't he? So
100%.
Yeah. So I think, and the good thing is,
alligator.
Yeah, we're still in all the cups. So let's just see what happens. He's got the conference, Europa Europa Conference League, whatever you want to call it, Carabao Cup. So there's not like he's got nothing to play for. He's got everything to still play for. We're in all the competitions, still within touch and distance with top 4. So you just don't know, do you? No. So I'm excited about it. It's a top manager. Let's see what happens.
Listen, if Davy Moyes, I know we had a discussion about West Ham maybe possibly having a better squad. I don't think West Ham's squad's better than ours.
No.
If Davy Moyes can get them lot to basically respect him to do what he asks them to do, there is no reason why Antonio Conte cannot get the players to respect him, given his CV, to do what he wants to do. Now, the difference is there are certain players who are not good enough, the likes of Ben Davies, the likes of Harry Winks. I'm not going to say Dele Alli, but I'm going to say Dele Alli in there as well, that I don't think he's going to be able to get much more out of them. But there's other players in that squad that have got some real potential. If he can unlock that, unlock their attitude, get Kane playing again, get Son to keep on doing what he's doing, Tanguy Ndombele, we've talked about, make him the player that we know he is there in him. Double pivot, as we talked about, Højbjerg and Skip. There is no reason why the top 4 is not a possibility this season, given it are only 5 points. And if Davy Moyes can do it, fuck Conte can do it. I'm not having this. I'm not having it.
The other thing as well, Sam,
to be fair on Dele Alli, I think he's out of those 3 that you mentioned. He's probably the one, if any of them could be brought round and Conte can bring out, will be Dele.
What's he going to bring out of him? He's only going to bring out his dreads. That's the only thing he can bring out of him. Bring the dreads out of him, because they're fake dreads in the first place. So get them off your head. I'm not having this Dele Alli thing. I'm not having it. I'm sorry. I'm not having it.
We'll have this conversation another day, another time when he's
We can have it. I don't mind.
Yeah.
We'll have this at the end of December.
I'm ready for that conversation.
Absolutely. After the 72 weeks of it are finished, yeah?
Yeah, and when he's turned Harry Winks into a world-class number 10, then you'll have to eat all.
That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
Sorry, I'm on the drugs. It's 11:06.
No, sorry, serious. Remember what I said to you last time, Sean? Stay off the sauce. Don't do the sauce on live camera, please don't do it.
One final thing, though, Sam. One final thing. All these players that have got that on their shoulder, right? They're gonna have to get rid of it. Yeah, because everyone that's got a chip on their shoulder now, they're gonna have to get rid. Because Conte is coming in. Conte ball is in. Conte ball.
Listen, Jew's not saying I'm jealous of Deji. Yeah, I have got hair jealousy. Don't you worry about that, Jews. I know that. I have got hair jealousy. The Christmas album incoming for Sid, 100% incoming album. Just like to say thanks to the viewers watching. We've had so many people in the house. We've got Spursy 141. That's our Jody there. Well, we've got who else? We've got Derek Hutchison. We've got Kimby. We've got James. Is it Kingsworth? Yeah, Kingsworth. Who else we got in the house there? Tommy G, Jews, as we've talked about already. Brian Daigle, we saw Brian Daigle in the house. So many people watching. I can't get through all the names, but thank you very much. Smash a like on that. Smash a like on this stream for us. Get us to that next level. We're coming for everybody. Whoever's out there, we're coming for you. Paxton Road TV. Gentlemen, Mike, Sid.
Take care.
Pleasure.
Take care.
Sean, Deji, and Marlon Bashman, thank you very
all.
much. It's been a great show, and it's time to go out with the music. See you later, guys.